We'll wait till we go live. We are live. What's going on, everyone? This is Leveraging Your L's. My name is Rafael Jemerson, aka Stamp, and we have our lovely co-host in the building, Tiara Bryant. What is going on, T?
Oh man, happy Thursday. Happy Leveraging Your L's Thursday.
Yes.
Definitely got a lot to talk about today. Definitely got some, conversations that I hope people will leverage. I hope. But no, it's a good day. It's a good day. I have did a rehearsal earlier, got a wedding tomorrow. It's a little bit far from where I live, so we got a room because anybody doing the back and forth extra mileage and travel, yada yada yada. So, but yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How you doing? How your week been?
I think I was airing out some things before we jumped on the call. I'm not gonna complain because no one cares anyway. But everything has been great. I've had a very interesting 24 hours to say the least. I've had a very interesting 24 hours to say the least. For all you folks out there that want to start a signing agency, I definitely would encourage you to start it. It definitely gives you the best opportunity to make good money, but also be able to serve clients on a nationwide scale. But man, oh man, you're going to come across some very interesting notaries when you are working in this business. So I would say the best thing for you to do is always don't take anything personal. Stay relaxed. I would say, yeah, don't take anything personal. Stay relaxed. Use everything as a learning lesson. And also something that I've been doing as of late. This is actually something I just started this week. Is doing case studies. So let's say if I'm dealing with a particular situation, if I have a notary that no shows a signing, or if I have a client that calls me and they happen to be in a nursing home and they everything that they're telling me on the phone is sounding good and we're good to go, but then we actually go to the signing and it's a completely different situation. I find, obviously with my experience, I know how to handle those particular situations, but I'm also just documenting steps on what happened, what took place, and what are some things I could do to be better for the next time around. So everything is always, for me, is a learning opportunity, especially in this business. So, but other than that, all has been well. Consistently booking estate plan signings. Yeah.
What made you start doing that? Like, was it something that happened, or was it something that's reoccurring that you was like, all right, I need to start writing it down, just being more proactive? Was it something you heard in like a mastermind? You was like, all right, I'm about to apply that to my business, or is it like I'm in the business owner, I'm in the signing service side and I actually do deal with these issues, so it just makes more sense to kind of work through them ahead of time. So yeah, what made you do that?
So what made me do it, I had a signing, I was going to have a signing that was going to take place at a nursing care, and then the person that called me, he needed to get the document signed for his mother. I guess he was visiting his mother, but I guess they just handed him these documents. It was like, hey, this needs to be notarized, but they didn't really explain anything to him. So over the phone, I'm like trying to get questions out of him. He don't know what document it is. He doesn't know how many signatures, or he just sounded all the way confused. Yeah. So I just tried to get the best answers that I could get. And then when I get to the signing, I find out, okay, this is advanced healthcare that needs to be notarized. He didn't know that the documents required 2 witnesses, so they didn't have that ready. And I was pretty much just explaining to him, not pretty much explaining to him what particular sections need to be filled out in this particular document, so that way it'd be valid. And so as soon as I got done with the signing, I was just sitting in my car. So I was like, damn, this was like, even though I educated them, I don't want to say it was a waste of time, because it's always a learning lesson in that, even though you didn't make any money from it, but they were still able to give value. I was able to help them out. So I was like, you know what, let me it just came to my mind to just do a case study. Because I was already trying to think of because I got a few workshops that I got coming up. So I wanted to like incorporate different things to the workshop to make it stand out from our previous work. I was like, do a case study, just give real life examples. We always sharing stories about what things that we're seeing out there, what the experiences that we're actually going through. So I was like, why not just do like a simple case study in real time, so that way I can review this. And that way for the next appointment that I get, because I'm not gonna lie, when I got on the phone, he kind of caught me off guard because I was in the middle of doing something else. So I wasn't as prepared as I thought I should be, but I still did well enough to actually book the signing and actually go there to actually find out, okay, this is what needs to be done. And so I was like, let me turn this into a case study. I can review these, and that way when I do get on the phone for the next appointment, I'm already on point. I know what to do, and I feel confident in even more confident in my ability to book the appointment. So that was the reason why I did it.
Yeah, I rock with that. I like that. I think I might start doing that too for the Wedding Officiant Academy, because I think a lot of like weddings, like you do, first of all, so many things can go wrong in a wedding that it's like people can trip, they can knock over, decorations, people cannot show up. You got that one auntie. Like I had a wedding maybe like 2 weeks ago where there was a generational and a cultural difference.
Mm-hmm.
So when I said don't, use your phones, put them on silent, put them away, really enjoy the moment. Oh, let me rephrase that now. They could use their phones, but they just needed to be mindful of like the photographer and stuff like that. And this isn't funny. It was something, it was like in a moment, I was like, oh my God, what should I do? Like, I was just like in my head, like, what should I do? Anyway, essentially, there was an older woman who was a guest who was very excited to watch the bridal party come down, the parents, the grandparents, the couple, and kept getting up with her camera and going into the aisle while they're walking down the aisle with the camera like this, stepping in front of the videographer. These people pay thousands of dollars, right? Stepping in front of the videographer, like, trying to get stuff on her cellular phone. And I was like, one, this is why I really highly suggest people have an unplugged ceremony. Even if you're not going to be super strict with people not having their phones out, at least they understand a little bit of the importance, or at least you're very stern about this. And it was like, I didn't want to say anything over the microphone because then that gets caught, you know what I'm saying? Like on the videography. And then the videographer was like right next to her, as she's like coming out. So I'm like, is he going to say something? Nobody in the audience said anything. It was like once we got to the bridal party, which she didn't care about because it wasn't her direct family members, it kind of like, stopped. And I was like, if you do this when these people come walk down this aisle, I might tackle you myself, please. Like, I feel like she like read the room after the fact. But in a situation like that, if you're a new officiant, what would you do? If you're a seasoned officiant, what would you do? Like, these are things that you cannot predict. You cannot predict someone's one auntie stepping into the aisle. Aisle. She basically walking down with the processional. I said, oh my goodness.
That's crazy. I wouldn't even know how would you. That is so crazy. I've never heard nothing like that. Just imagine someone just want to, wow.
Like in front of like if they're, like it's usually the aisle is a decent amount of time, maybe it's like, let's say 10 rows.
Yeah.
At one point, she started going down the aisle. Like once they hit the 5th row, I'm like, girl, there's still 5 more rows. Like there's just so much footage that like they now have to edit to try to salvage their processional and like, cut her out or whatever. And again, my couple was older and they were okay with having a plug ceremony. So maybe that element won't make them as upset as someone who really emphasized having an unplugged ceremony and, these kind of things. So but I like the idea of having case studies. I think that would be very helpful. So I'm probably going to start incorporating that into our, monthly socials as well to give people some more hands-on, like what would you do in a scenario? Because it could happen to you.
Yeah, and it's really work. So I used to work as a security guard at a mental health facility years ago, and then like wherever there was like a code gray. I guess that's when a patient is combative. And then we had to put the person in restraints and just calm them down. The security and the nursing staff, we would get in the huddle, would do what is called like a debriefing. Yeah. So I kind of look at it like in the same way. I was like, all right, this is what happened during the signing. This is what happened before the signing. This is what happened while I was at the signing, and this is what happened after the signing. What could I do to be better for the next time around? So, yeah, I mainly just did it so I can be better on the phone because I didn't like the way because I kind of not shied away, but I kind of got away from my process as far as answering the questions because they just sounded so flustered and so confused. Yeah. And then when you get there, they were like, the staff was rude to them and they just handed us these documents and they tell us what it means. They just said the notary would handle it. It's like, well, yeah, the notary can help, but the notary's not an attorney. Yeah. So I just did my very best, just answer the questions what I could within my scope. What I can do, and then we ended up rescheduling the signing. So thank God, I still kept the signing. We get everything set up. So yeah, man. Very interesting 24 hours, to say the least. Very interesting. So, our topic today is how to cover your ASS as a notary. Um, and I definitely, I know you shared something with me the other day that I can definitely relate to. With, I think I told you about the signing I had in Virginia, where the notary did the signing. Have I told you about that?
I think so, but go ahead.
No. So I had a signing that took place in Virginia last year, and the notary did the signing, and then I want to say a year later, which is probably like last month, the client calls me and says, "Hey, would you guys happen to have our original documents? Because the notary never gave us the original; they just gave us a copy." So I thought I got that email. I thought, the email I was telling you about. I thought I was going to get a response. I was waiting, but my bad. I'm not going to throw off the rhythm. I'm not going to throw it off. But the notary, she ended up shredding the original documents. She shredded the original documents without saying she shredded the original documents. She said she didn't have them. And then she put out there, like, hey, usually, there's instructions to shred the documents. And I was like, oh, you must have shredded them. Yeah. She didn't follow the instructions. And so just imagining, thank God we still had we was able to get another set of documents. We were able to get the signing taken care of. But just imagine, something would have happened to that particular client, and you're trying to find out, like, hey, we had an estate plan. We have the copies, but we don't have the originals. Just imagine something would have happened to that person. So you got to find different ways. So you got to cover your ASS by making sure everything is done correctly and accurately as well. Of course, we all want to make money. That's what we're in business for. We also got to make sure we're operating in the best interest of the client as well, and make sure they're properly serviced, because anything that can go possibly wrong can definitely come back on you as a notary, especially if you didn't do everything in your power to make sure everything was done correctly.
Nah, that's real. And honestly, my situation is similar to yours, where I got like a call the other day from not even the client. So I got a call the other day from the family member of the person that I serviced, and they wanted to locate the originals. So like the person was a patient at a local hospital, and they got transferred to another hospital, and somehow the paperwork got misplaced within the transfer. So the new hospital claimed that they didn't receive it. The previous hospital claimed that they don't have it anymore. And then it wasn't anything within the medical records. So as a Hail Mary, the guy decides to call me, because I was a notary, and ask me, do I carry the original? And the answer is absolutely not. Okay. Yeah. That is not something that I do. I don't conjure up the documents. I don't, do any of that stuff. Honestly, I barely print them. Huh?
No, I'm saying, we don't do document storage. That's not something that we typically do.
Yes, I ain't doing document creation. Like, I ain't doing none of it. The most I would do is I might direct someone to, either call an attorney or, check out resources online if they're looking for something that's a specific document that I see people do online a lot. But definitely ain't holding no originals, always when I guess two things. One, I feel like you have to be so certain when you get on those type of phone calls, because I feel like the minute of like ambiguity or like your uncertainty, like that gives someone a window to be like, maybe you did, or you know what I mean, to just kind of drag you in further. Whereas if your process is never to have the originals, is never to take anything back, off rip, like, I know I ain't got it. Like, you got to, direct them somewhere else. So that was really the first thing. And the second thing, to your point, with your client, is the person that I service actually did pass away. So there's no way you can now get these original documents, because that person is no longer here. Yeah. And it's like with custody and stuff like that. So you really have to, I always advise anyone who works with me on the notary side, it's like, listen, if we can do more than one original document, I would highly suggest it, like having maybe 2 copies on top of making copies, putting it someplace safe. Anytime that I do any of my notary work, I go over every single page that I notarize. This is the information you filled out. This is what I filled out. This is the stamp. I give people their IDs back and stuff like that. But I make sure it's a point where we both are acknowledging it, because it's so easy to forget. It's like when you leave your car and you go into your house and you're like, dang, did I lock my doors?
Yeah.
It's like that, you know what I mean? So once you kind of get into the habit of always locking doors, or saying out loud, like, let me lock the door, you know, acknowledging it, it brings like that memory back. And so I feel like two things in this. One, know your process. So you know off of the bat, like how you do stuff, you do it a certain type of way. If anything like this comes up, because I can't recall the exact date that signing happened.
That too.
But I
Yes.
know for sure I didn't take nobody documents. Like it don't matter what day of the week it is. I know for sure I didn't do that. And then yeah, like just that other element of education. Still, you always have to educate people who are using a notary, because more times than not, they don't know what notaries do. They don't know what's our responsibility, what's not our responsibility, what's their responsibility. And it's just super important to have those very clear boundaries. And then on top of that, once you have them, you rehearse them so much, you know what I mean? They just come out as second nature. So I would highly, highly suggest, just in the whole conversation of covering your ASS, have a process, the way that you know, run your table, run your notary appointments, have a specific, like, this is what I do with my documents. Even if you are someone who does loan signings, or you do, you know, keep the originals for whatever reason. I don't know why we would ever keep the originals, honestly, but for whatever reason you do, just having a filing system, and even carrying it the way we have to carry like our notary journal. I'm pretty sure in New Jersey, I think you have to have all of your notary entries for 10 years. That seems like a super long time, but if you're keeping people's original documents, you might want to carry on that record keeping process, you know, in alignment with whatever your notary laws are.
And outside of keeping the original documents to mail off, I mean, outside of that, there should be no reason why you should be keeping their originals anyway. Because a lot of times, you know, we dealing with power of attorneys, we dealing with estate plans, we dealing with loan documents that has their personal information, like sensitive stuff, like social security numbers. Loan closing documents may have, like, they may have to include like their job. They got to include like anything financially related. So there should be. There's like, even if it's not in the instructions, like in the email that you receive from the client or the signing service, there's absolutely no reason for you as a notary to keep their original documents outside of, you need to take them back so you can either scan even I don't even like to scan documents at my house. Like I much rather either have a mobile scanner or use the actual app on my phone so you can watch me do it. Because I don't want to take you know, anything can happen. Anything can happen. So outside of scanning outside of that, I'm not taking nothing with me, because something like that again can pop up. And especially too, if you are like a notary that has like a bunch of appointments during the day, it's easy to like lose track where you're supposed to drop documents at FedEx, and a week goes by. You're like, hey, we were supposed to get these documents back. You're like, oh, I'm supposed to send these back. I still have them. Luckily, if you still have them, you can get everything dropped off. They probably won't use you again after that. But I much rather for them not to use me. I much rather for that to happen and know I have the documents, as opposed to I just lose their stuff and there's no telling what happens, right? And so that's the only thing you need, because it's nothing for someone to, you know, to take you to court over something. If their information was, you know, there was some abuse that took place and you just happen to have the originals and you didn't properly care for them and make sure they were supposed to reach to their proper authorities or the destination. So you gotta be on top of your game. Like I said, yes, we make good money, definitely good money we make, but the money doesn't come unless you know absolutely what you're doing and you have a solid process for handling documents.
Nah, for real. Save yourself. Mainly save yourself the headache, save yourself the stress when you do get those phone calls. Cause it's not that you could know you gave the document back and you may still get that phone call. You know what I'm saying? You don't always know people's intentions on the other end, or you know what they've been going through or whatever. And again, they're just trying their best to get, you know, what they need to get done. So definitely just be super mindful about how you operate your business, how you do, you know, how you be at the table, what you do with your documents after, like all of that stuff. Because people will purposely and not purposely try to trip you up.
Yeah. And then too, people, you know, we have an issue with people taking accountability. Yeah. So
that's also a pandemic that nobody's talking about. It's a pandemic.
Yeah. People don't, you know, sometimes you got to deal with clients that don't like to take accountability. They may have misplaced a document and then they might try to hold you responsible for it. So it's always good to just verify that, hey, I'm leaving the documents here with you. These are the instructions of what's supposed to be taking place. and go on from there. And then also too, leverage your resources. Like if you know, like let's say if a person needs document filing services, or if that's the real thing, or record keeping, or if if they need someone to drop documents for them, like network with the actual professionals that could definitely help them out. So that way you have the help, because sometimes as notaries we don't know every single thing, and as far as what we can and can't do. So it's always good to have those professionals on hand, so that way, you know, if a client needs help with a particular situation that you may not be able to deal with, but you know someone that can, you can refer them to those individuals. So having resources is very key, especially in this business. I think any business, you need any business, and just life in general, you need the resources. So definitely cover yourself, because yeah, that's happened. That's happened to me. I think twice. That situation in Virginia, and then I had someone. When was that? I had a signing here in California that I actually did myself, and I knew I left the documents with the client. They were like, "Oh no, we don't have them," and they just couldn't find the originals, and there wasn't no instructions to mail off anything. So, yeah, man, do your due diligence. Do your due diligence.
Oh, I got a scenario. Well, not a scenario. I have a question. So, the other day I had to offer my first like refunds, and it was actually because the service was never rendered, right? Mm-hmm. So they went on Calendly, they paid for I think it was an I-9, so you know, a little $75, do the I-9, but then the lady ended up canceling before the appointment actually happened, and within like the cancellation agreement, whatever.
Yeah.
And all of that is like automatic through PayPal. So honestly, I saw the cancellation, and I promise you nothing registered that like I would have to manually like refund the money back. I don't know why I thought PayPal would do it, because it got canceled.
No, you can do that.
Yeah, so that was like, I randomly got a call. I didn't answer because I was in an appointment, but I listened to the voicemail. She's like, yeah, I had a appointment back in like, I want to say August. Girl, it's November. So I'm not waiting that long for no money. I'm not waiting that long for no money.
Oh, that's funny.
What?
Wow.
But yeah, so she leaves me this voicemail. She's like, yeah, I signed up for, I-9. I canceled in the amount of time. I just been waiting for my refund. I haven't received anything, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. So I go, verify and make sure that she actually did have a canceled appointment. And so I just, PayPal'd her back the money. But because that does not happen to me often, where I do render, refunds and stuff like that, I recognize that I even need like a process for that. Like, how am I going to, like do that when I have to or whatever. And I really thought they just automatically got that money back. I don't know why.
Yeah, I say me personally, when it comes to money, it's in my head. So if I got to refund you or I owe you money as a notary, here, you ain't finna, here you go. I don't like holding on to folks' money. Like, I'm not saying you was holding on, because you just forgot. You would have thought PayPal would have did it. I just say for me, yeah, I'm sending folks their money back. Nah, you're not gonna blow me up over 75 or 65 bucks. No.
That's the thing. She didn't blow me up. This was her first call 3 months later. She didn't send no email. She didn't send no follow-up. She didn't even send anything with the cancellation. It wasn't like, hey, when will I receive my refund? Or, you know what I'm saying? Anything like that. Yeah. She might have also thought it was automatic. And that's probably why it took, why she took so long to say something. But, yeah, I guess I need to come up with a little process for that.
Yeah, I would have thought, because I used to think that too. That you can, like if it, like I said, because it's the PayPal or the Stripe is connected to the Calendly, so you would think that by them canceling, by them being connected with the system, it would have automatically sent it out. But right now, you got to send it back. Yeah, I've had experiences with sending back refunds. I had a signing 2 years ago. Very early stages of Stanford signings, way early stages. And I had a signing in Reno, and before the signing, I had talked to the client. We had a great conversation. Told him what the next steps were going to be. So the notary ends up going to the signing, and she does the signing, but then I get a call from the client. She was like, "Man, this lady." He was like, "I wanted to give you some grace because I was really mad. So I didn't want to call you while I was frustrated." So he ended up calling me like a day or two later. I always like to follow up and see how was your signing experience or whatnot, because it's important for me to know, because as we know, some of these notaries are interesting individuals to work with at times. Very interesting. So you always want to know what their experience is like. So that way, if they do great work and professional, you want to keep working with them again. So he ends up telling me, it's like, yeah, the lady, she showed up to my house and, with a sweatsuit on, she had Uggs. She was rude to my wife, and just it was just all around horrible. And I just want to know, would it be possible if I can get a refund? I said, absolutely, yeah, no problem. Because again, the notaries that we hired, they're a representation of us. So if we provide a bad experience, I mean, that's a bad look on me. I'm not going to keep your money, so I end up giving the guy a refund. So most people don't do that.
In that situation, right? So for anyone who is looking to be a good signing service owner, because we starting to hear a lot about these not good signing service owners, but anyone who wants to be a good signing service owner, what do you do in those situations with the notary? Do you just cut ties and take that L? Do you let them know and be like, hey, because of, this refund I had to issue, now maybe like you get partial payment or something like that? Or do you just take the L and just, work with them?
So that's a good question. So if it's a person that I work with before, I will give them the grace, especially if I know them personally. I just want to get their side of the story. Like I said, if it's someone that I work with before, I will get their side of the story and be like, okay, maybe this is just a one-time thing. But if it's someone that I haven't worked with before, and I will try to get that side of the story. But if it's not clicking how it should be clicking, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just have to just cut ties.
Yeah.
I'd just rather just cut ties because, like I said, I mean, I don't think people understand like what it's like to run a signing agency. Like I get it all the time. Like people are like, I don't know how you do it, because they experience with dealing with notaries. I mean, for me, I have my tolerance is very high, but with patience, because again, we're working with people. Like people are going to people. That's just something that I understand, and so I understand. It's a level of patience that you got to have, and to me, I know what it's like to be a notary. Like I've been at the signing table. I understand like giving people grace, right? And then I understand like some of these signing services are really trash. Like the way they treat people, the way they like over like the how do you say like micromanaging. I try not to do that. Because I understand what that's like. I don't want to be micromanaged. So I'm not going to do the same thing to the next person. But like I said, the notaries that you hire, I mean, they are a representation of your agency. Because a lot of times, if you're nationwide, I'm based here in California. I can't go talk. I'm not in front of the client in Georgia and all these different places. So 10 times out of 10, they're not going to see me, but they are going to see the person that we hiring, and they're working on our behalf. And so you want to make sure you get the right people, not just the best people, but the right people. So you want to have a nice. If you're overall, can you be nice? Can you do that? Like to go into someone's home and be rude to their spouse is like crazy to me. I never heard of that. That was crazy. When he told me that, I was like, oh no, here you go. I'll give you a refund. No, that's crazy. I wouldn't even want nobody to come in my house and be rude like that to me. That's crazy.
Even your attire, like you talking about Uggs, you talking about sweatpants. I mean, for to mention that to you, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that had to be. It couldn't have been no cute Uggs, and it probably wasn't.
That's crazy. So, but what was the question? I'm sorry, I kind of got off on a tangent a bit. What was the question again about the signing service? Like, what should we be looking out for?
No, I was just asking what happened in that situation, but I was saying like as a signing service, you always taught me like not all notaries are created equal. Yeah. And even with me, listen, Rafael almost got me. I almost went the signing service route. I outsourced maybe like 4 or 5 appointments, and I was like, I ain't doing this. Like, this is way too much for me. You know what I'm saying? Like being that middle person, that's an important role. Like you got to be there for the notaries. You got to be there for that title company. You got to be there for the customer, the clients. And then you got to make sure all of this stuff is done right, but you're not the one that's physically doing it. You have to trust someone else to do it correctly and represent your brand. And 9 times out of 10, they're not people that you've like vetted out, who's gone through an interview process, and I've done your background check and all, you know what I'm saying? All of those things. So anybody who is deciding or considering opening up a signing service, man, find you some quality notaries. Be a quality notary. Start there. Start being a quality notary so that when you speak to other notaries, you can start to see, the differences.
Yeah, you can definitely. You can do. I started off. I was interviewing notaries initially. I was doing that, and then, like I said, once you get to a point where it's like kind of hard to interview everyone, you can always go to like their website, go so wherever the signing is taking place, look, type in that city and zip code. You can try that. If you don't necessarily have like access to SnapDocs or signing order or have like some type of processor where you can like have like your database, you can always try signingagent.com. Signingagent.com will like let you know what's their experience, what their experience is like. And then it should have their profile filled out correctly. But a lot of times too, if you like starting off like a signing service, I would definitely start off local first. So that way you can have like understand the process and like start it for people who you know and trust. Yeah, because like the people who you are going to be hiring, they're a representation of you. And then I always try to like make like me, I go above and beyond. I go a little bit above and beyond what other signing service owners may do. Now, maybe because of the size of our company, or they may be at a point where they don't need to. But like me, I have no problem getting on the phone with you. I'll tell you, look, let's jump on. Like the other day, I did a call going over some estate plan documents with the notary. It's like, yo, ask any question that you have. Because I'd much rather for you to have an understanding of what you need to do as opposed to just being at the table and you're like, oh, I don't know who I should call. Maybe I'm just assume. Because when you assume, that's when it all goes wrong. You miss a signature here. You're supposed to do this here. And then we got to have you go back out. And then when you got to have them go back out, some people don't like, they like to dodge accountability. It's like, oh, well, I got to make a second trip. Is there additional fee? No, you made the mistake. So you got to hold that. But yeah, I go above and beyond. So I'd much rather for you to have an understanding of what to do as opposed to you just guessing. So if I got to carve out 10 minutes to talk to you real quick to understand, to help you understand this needs to be signed correctly, I will do that. So yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a good business to be in, but you know, if you're not willing to do the work, if you don't have the patience for it, you probably shouldn't do it.
I definitely came into it with the wrong mindset. I'm like, oh, okay, so I can just, pass this assignment over, how I would handle it, and then I could just go on about my day for that period.
Yeah, you go about your day, Nah.
That absolutely did not happen. And that's what it boiled down to, me using the same person over and over and over again as well. Then it's like, that person got other assignments. They got stuff to do. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. That's how me and Norman became so cool. Because as I was outsourcing appointments and I was reaching out to other notaries and trying to find people, and the people that I was working with, kept calling me or did it completely wrong and didn't care to call, or, you know what I mean? Those type of things. All right, now I'm just going to keep working with the same person because I know they're going to do it well. And then I just gave the game up. I ain't going to hold you. So it's definitely when you have to stick out. You have to keep reinventing, what your process is, how you're going to make it sharper, smoother, like all of that stuff. It has its benefits, has amazing benefits. You
just can't be like, okay, y'all, let me know when the signing completed and just, I'm going to go to the park. I'm going to go to take my kids out. Nah. Because 9 times out of 10, someone's gonna be like, "Oh, the notary didn't show up." Oh, imagine getting a phone call that, "Oh, your notary didn't show up," and you had 6 Flags, having the time of your life. You gotta find a notary. But no, that's happened to me.
I've been at the gym, like you hear the clinking of the stuff in the background. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Imagine, and then too, and then especially if you're working with like clients, like your top clients that send you consistent business, they're gonna have emergency signing that's gonna take place, and you may only have like 2 or 3 hours to get it filled, right? So be on the watch. So those things you might want to watch out for. So if you're not prepared to I definitely recommend everyone to start a signing agency. It's definitely really good. I definitely recommend it. But if you're gonna do it, I just want to make sure this is what you need to be. This is what you should be able to do. You need to be able to handle emergency signings because they're gonna request emergency signing. You may only have a couple of hours in advance. How are you going to handle no shows? Because it's going to happen. I had a signing that a notary canceled an hour before, and I had a notary who I assigned for that same signing, and then they no show the signing while the notary. So that's going to happen. How you deal with notaries being late? How do you deal with miscommunication where you thought the signing was supposed to take place on this time, but the client thought it was at a different time? Like, there's all kind of stuff that pops up, that you got to be able to handle, got to be able to have the tolerance for. So if you have the stomach for it, I definitely recommend to do it. But if you're not someone that has the patience with dealing with people, because I promise you, people are going to try you. They're going to test. They're going to. I don't want to say try you because that sounds negative. They're going to test you. You're going to be tested. And if you fail, hey, man, it happens. I fail every day in this business, trust. But, I just try to keep pushing through, man. It happens.
Those are some wise words, man. Get the nuggets.
Yeah. Also, too, communication. Oh, man. I'm not going to start. But communication is very key in this business. I will say this, communication as far as, okay, this is what needs to be done for the signing. Communicate fees. Fees is really important because fees are very important because you may get an invoice for a different amount than what you was originally going to pay out. And then, a conversation has to be had. And there are definitely some uncomfortable conversations that you will have to have in this business as well, especially with notaries. That's typically my most uncomfortable conversations, not with the client, it's with the notary. So, but as long as you are respectful, as long as the communication is respectful, and you both have respect for each other, and the communication is there, I think you'll be all right. But if you're not willing to do those things, and you should probably just end up just being a solo notary. There's nothing wrong with being a solo notary. You don't got to worry about a notary signing getting done in New York. You don't got to worry about it. You're not gonna no-show your own signing unless you just get down like that. But yeah, I don't want to start, man, because I feel myself starting to get into a ramp. I'm not gonna do it, y'all. So, but I definitely recommend starting to sign the agency. Definitely get into it. I'll be more than happy to help you out too if you have questions.
Yes, definitely. Go to Stamp. Don't come over here. Go to Stamp.
I'll definitely help you out.
Yeah, get that info. Get them gems.
Yeah, I fell into a few potholes over these last few years. I've fallen and I couldn't get up for a second, but I figured it out. So yeah, definitely be able to help you all out. Well, hope y'all got a lot of value from this today's episode. Make sure you cover your ASSS, do your due diligence, always have a thorough process in place. Don't keep the original documents. I think that's kind of self-explanatory because, like I said, because dealing with estate plans, people die every single day. So the last thing that you need is for a client that you may have serviced who may have passed away and they don't know where their original estate plan documents are at. You may be thinking to yourself, well, they have copies. Most courts, I think all courts don't accept copies. You need the original document. And they need the original document with the original wet stamp. So if you don't have that, I don't want to be there when they come for you. So always keep that in mind, man. Until then, let's do our what's it called? Shameless plug. Hey. What we got coming up, T?
All right, we are having our last wedding officiant social for 2023. It is December 7th from 6 to 8 EST. Sorry, don't know what that is PST, but do the math. So we're super excited. It's
what time does it start?
6 to 8.
6 to 8. Oh yeah, that'd be 3 p.m. on our time, Pacific Standard. So that'd be 3 to 5.
That's so early. I be feeling bad for y'all because it really be so early, but I'm not going to be on nobody call at 8 and 9 and 10 p.m. I have a child, a business, a man. I can't do that. But if you are able to tap in, even if you can only listen and just write in your questions or conversation or whatever, we would highly, suggest you join us. We would love to have you. It's growing every month. And our conversation this month is reflecting on 2023 and preparing for 2024. If you do not know, we are in the peak of engagement season. From Thanksgiving to Valentine's Day is when most couples get engaged. So this is the time to, get out there if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, let's get it. Make sure y'all register, man. Get these weddings for 2024. What we got coming up? I got a commercial loan signing workshop coming up this Saturday. I'm not doing no more Thursday workshops, y'all. So yeah, that's out. So if you want to get educated, you got to sacrifice your morning on Saturdays. I do it, so why not you, right? So if you want to be in attendance for the commercial loan closing workshop this Saturday, it'll be from 9 a.m. to 10 or 10:30. We'll be going over commercial loan documents. I'm starting to see more and more commercial loan signings, and it's typically not for new construction buildings. These are typically for people that they own like a small commercial building. They may be using it for Airbnb, or they may be using it for like an event space or something like that, and they're refinancing or they're purchasing. So if you are interested in attending, definitely, I'll drop the link. I don't have it right now, but I'll drop the link under the video description. And then I'll also be having another workshop with my good buddy, a brother of mine, his name Irvin Simsu. We'll be doing a financial services workshop on the 27th, so be on the lookout for that as well. And as always, if you're a notary watching this, if you're nice, if you're professional, you don't know show signings, definitely give me a holler. We'd definitely love to work with you. I'm trending towards working more and more with notaries who I know, as opposed to notaries I may not know or may not be familiar with. Just from my experience with dealing with the notaries who I don't know. That's not to say, because I typically have worked with notaries who I don't know, and they've done an excellent job for me. So I'm not going to say that. But there are some notaries out there where it just leave you confused, like, wow, why are you in business? So if you are a notary that's looking to grow your business through estate planning, power of attorneys, definitely join our network. I'm always looking for new notaries to work with. Currently looking for notaries in Washington, state of Washington. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a pleasant experience with working with you guys out there. So if there's anyone out there that's looking to grow their business, definitely join our network. Looking for new notaries to work with. And until next time, appreciate you all for tuning in with Leveraging Your L's. We hope you guys got a ton of value from this. Hopefully you guys avoid the same pitfalls or potholes that we weren't able to avoid initially. Until next time, see y'all next week. Peace.